Out of all the places around the world that you can travel, I get the most requests for Japan. And so in this video, I'm going to cover a variety of different options on how you can redeem your credit card points to fly in business class or economy to Japan. My name is Max and I help people maximize their airline miles, hotel points, and credit card points. Remember to hit the like and subscribe button down below and let's get started. And we're gonna go start with some foreign carriers and then some domestic US carriers. But whichever redemption option you go with, you're likely gonna need cell phone data when you land in Japan. And that's where I wanna thank the sponsor of this video, Airlo. Airlo is a digital eSIM store, and with a few taps on your phone, you can install a digital eSIM and have cell phone data once you land in Japan or wherever you're traveling abroad. For example, I can buy this eSIM for Japan and it's $18 for 10 gigs of data. And it's even less if you use my code MAX3 and you'll get a discount on your first eSIM. But suppose you want to go to Korea and Japan all in one trip, Airlo also has regional eSIMs that covers multiple countries within that region. So you just have to buy one eSIM, and whatever country you land in that region, you'll have cell phone data, making it easy to visit multiple countries and not having to worry about cell phone data. Remember to use the code MAX3 for a discount on your first eSIM. I'll also drop the link down in the description if you want to go check out Airlo for your next trip to Japan or wherever you're traveling around the world. So now let's move on to our first redemption to get to Japan. And the flight is going to be operated by ANA, or also known as an All Nippon Airways. So for this redemption, the booking method is going to be on the ANA website, and to search for award availability, you want to jump on United Airlines website. We're not booking through United, we're just using United as a search tool. And when you're on United, you want to look for ANA operated flights. And the reason why we're searching on United is that they have this award calendar that makes it easy to search day by day or month by month to identify which dates require the fewest amount of points and to find the ANA flight on the United website. You can definitely search on the ANA website, but it's much more difficult, and that's why we're using United's website as a search tool. But the thing is that only American Express points transfers over to ANA, and the tricky thing is that it does take 2 to 3 business days to transfer American Express points over to ANA. Within that time of points transferring, your award availability might disappear, and so that's the tricky part about this redemption. But if you're able to jump over those hurdles, you're gonna get a really good redemption rate because ANA only requires 100,000 to 110,000 ANA miles round trip in business class and as little as 40,000 ANA miles in economy. The other tricky thing is that it has to be round trip. And so if you're booking with ANA miles, you have to book round trip. If you don't book round trip, it's not possible to book with ANA miles. And so that is a non-negotiable when it comes to redeeming ANA miles, is that it must be round trip. So if you're able to jump through all of those hurdles, you're getting a really good redemption rate when it comes through booking ANA operated flights through ANA Airways with ANA miles. The taxes and fees can be a little high. They're usually around like 500 to 600 round trip, but the trade-off is that you're redeeming fewer points and the taxes and fees can be a little high. So that's the first redemption, is booking ANA through ANA. Our second redemption option is also booking ANA, but through a different airline. And that airline is Virgin Atlantic. And so in this case, ANA is also operating the flight, but the booking method is actually through Virgin Atlantic. Virgin Atlantic has a special partnership with ANA, which allows you to book ANA flights through the Virgin Atlantic program. In order to search for this award availability, you also want to search on United.com because it's easier to search on United.com, similar to the first redemption option that I mentioned. And you want to find that award availability for the ANA operated flight. And once you do that, then you have to call into Virgin Atlantic, and that's how you would book this ANA flight. You can't book this on the website, unfortunately. And the big benefit of booking through Virgin Atlantic is that a lot of credit card points transfers over to Virgin Atlantic, which makes it easy to kind of mix and match a bunch of different credit card bonuses and then transfer them over to Virgin Atlantic. If you're interested in any of the credit cards throughout this video, I'll drop my affiliate links down in the description, and using those links help support my work. And another benefit of booking through Virgin Atlantic is that Virgin Atlantic allows you to book ANA flights in one-way segments. So one-way in business class starts at 52,500 Virgin Atlantic miles, and economy starts at 30,000 Virgin Atlantic miles. And the taxes and fees here are very similar, where you can pay around like $500 to $600 in taxes and fees round trip, or $250 one way. So now moving on to our third redemption option, which is another Japanese carrier, Japan Airlines. In this case, the operating airline is going to be Japan Airlines, and the way that we're going to book it is through British Airways. So the reason why we have to book through British Airways is that there are no credit card points that transfers directly to Japan Airlines, and so we have to book through a partner airline like British Airways. The search method is kind of tricky though. You can obviously search on British Airways, but you have to click day by day, which can take a while and is kind of annoying. You can also search on American Airlines, and if you find a Japan Airlines operated flight, on the American Airlines website, then you're likely to find it on the British Airways website as well. You can also search on the Alaska Airlines website, and if you find a Japan Airlines operated flight on the Alaska Airlines flight page, then there's chances that you might be able to find it on the British Airways website as well. And the good thing about British Airways is that a lot of credit card points transfers directly over to British Airways, and you can book one-way redemptions starting at 70,000 British Airways Avios in business class one way and 25,000 British Airways Avios one way in economy. The taxes and fees in this case is also kind of a medium here as well. You can expect to pay somewhere between $400 to $600 in taxes and fees round trip. Obviously, if you're doing one way, split that in half, and that's kind of around where the taxes and fees are going to be for this redemption option. But of course, if you have American Airlines miles or Alaska miles and you find the award availability on the American Airlines website or the Alaska Airlines website, you can redeem your Alaska or American Airlines miles directly and book those flights, and you don't have to go through British Airways. So that's another option as well. So moving on to some domestic carriers, United Airlines is one of the domestic carriers that flies nonstop from the US over to Japan. So in this case, the operating airline is United Airlines, and the best way to book is actually not through United Airlines, it's to book through Air Canada Aeroplan because they require fewer points. And the search method is actually just using United's website as a tool to search for United operated flights. For economy, what you're looking for is Economy X or Saver Awards. For business class, you want to find Business Fare Class I. And if you can find that on the United website, that means you can potentially find it over on the Air Canada website as well and make the redemption, and a bunch of credit card points transfers over to Air Canada. And Air Canada charges 75,000 Air Canada Aeroplan points one way in business class, and economy starts at 46,000 Air Canada Aeroplan. American Airlines is also another option to get over to Japan, but it gets a little more complicated in this situation because American Airlines dynamically prices their own operated flight. And so that means that if you jump on American Airlines website and you search on American Airlines website for a flight from the US over to Japan, you can see somewhere between like 60,000 American Airlines miles up to like 150 or 140 American Airlines miles to get over to Japan one way in business class. The only way to really find out how much it's going to cost, how many American Airlines miles it's going to cost to get over to Japan, is to jump on the American Airlines website and search. And sometimes it can be a wide variety of different rates when it comes to American Airlines operated flights. For Delta operated flights, the same thing applies as well. They dynamically price their own Delta operated flights. And so sometimes it could be hundreds and thousands of Delta Sky Miles, and other times it could be 3, 4, 5, 600,000 Delta Sky Miles. It really depends on what they release and how they dynamically price those flights. And so I would say it's not really ideal to book American Airlines operated flights or Delta operated flights over to Japan unless you find a really good redemption rates on those websites, which is highly unlikely because they like to dynamically price their award redemptions. So that covers a couple different redemptions on how to get over to Japan. And if none of these redemption options works, then you have to get creative and figure out different routings on how to get to Japan. And what I recommend often is that maybe you don't fly directly into Japan like Tokyo or Osaka. Instead, what you do is you fly into a neighboring country and then connect back into Tokyo or Osaka. For example, you could fly from the US over to Seoul and then from Seoul book a separate ticket to get over to Japan. Same thing applies for Taipei as well. You can fly China Airlines from the US over to Taipei and then connect up to Tokyo if you want to on a separate ticket or on the same itinerary, depending on which airline you book through. So that's when you would need to get creative when it comes to routing in order to find a good deal and be flexible on dates and be flexible on routing. Now increase your chances of finding a good redemption to Japan. So that's a bunch of different redemption options on how to get to Japan. Hopefully you found this helpful. If you want some more videos on how to get to Japan using your credit card points, check out some of these videos over here. Comment below if you have any questions. Remember to hit the like and subscribe button, and I'll see you guys in the next one.